Welcome to the Ganzfeld Files. How are we doing today, John?
Doing good. I got excited to listen. I was like, ooh, the introduction. And then I realized there's no introduction. I'm just here recording. I was like, my head, I was like, the podcast has started. And I was just listening. I was like, oh, wait, yeah, I'm here. I got to be involved.
We're the intro.
We are the intro.
How you doing over there?
Life sucks. But you know what? That's what Ganzfeld's for.
Yeah, of course.
Not really.
Yeah.
That's not what Ganzfeld's for at all. But I'm excited to be here again. Episode 2.
Episode 2. Hell yeah. It's really fun.
Here we already have 1 million followers. It's
yeah.
really good.
Like, it's getting into the trillions now.
Yeah. How many Russians did you pay for that?
A lot.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
they work as a team,
Nice.
so you got to pay them like all together. It's a lot of rubles. Rubles?
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 Yeah, I think it's
I can't
rubles.
remember,
Who cares?
Rubles
It's
are
silly money.
I know rupees are the India.
Is it? Oh yeah, that
Rupees.
makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Rubles are definitely Russians. Speaking of Russians, they
That's a fun
it's
introduction.
a good
Or transition, I mean.
yeah, they were the first ones to do the remote viewing stuff.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Our remote viewing program was actually in response to what the Russians were doing.
That makes sense. That's usually how things go.
Yeah, usually
Russia
it's
gets all antsy about something. We're like, wait, what? We have to get to the moon
No,
too.
We gotta do it too. Yeah, so you can't be behind the curve. This is also during the Cold War too.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so today we're gonna go over our past experiences.
Yes.
But we also have something fun for later.
Ooh.
We're also gonna do another experiment.
Ooh.
So yeah, so this is not just a like secondhand type of podcast. I want it to be more experiential too. Like we're gonna do stuff, and then we're gonna bring you our experiences.
Our results.
Yeah, and the good thing about the Ganzfeld experiment, it's something you can do at home. It's something you don't have to travel to another state and investigate a haunted house or something like that. You can do this stuff.
Which we should do too. That would be sweet.
Yeah,
I'm in for
definitely.
anything. We should do a
Yeah.
Ganzfeld in a haunted house.
Yeah. So if anybody has any ideas, like send us, email us something, and
It's all going to
we'll,
be in Russian, bro. We just discussed. You have 1 million Russian. We're not going to know what they're even asking. They're going to be like, go to Chernobyl. I'm like, that's expensive.
yeah, if you hire Russian people, you should learn the language.
How many times have you gone to a restaurant and found a manager that speaks Spanish? Come on, man. That's not how that shit works.
Yeah. So yeah. Let's talk about our stuff.
Yeah, how do you want to start?
You want to talk about the Float 60? You want to talk
yes.
about that? Yeah.
Oh,
We
yes.
I think it was like a year ago that we did that.
It had to have been more like 2.
2 years ago? Yeah. So we decided to take we bought some float tank. What do you call them?
They have float tank passes.
Sessions,
We just
yeah.
got a session. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's I believe they're kind of a chain now. I know there's at least like 2 or 3 locations for Float 60.
Yeah.
In Chicago, there's one downtown. I believe there's one who's like in River North, and maybe I don't remember what the other one was. But yeah, the whole concept is basically that when you have multiple options, you can be in like an enclosed tank, or you can be in a float, like a small pool for people who like don't do well with closed spaces. And it can be a little alarming. I have a minor amount of claustrophobia,
Right.
and it was just enough to be triggering. But basically, the concept is they just pack it in with a ton of salt water, like the most possible salt in water, so that you float at the top and feel weightless, and so you get into this calming meditative place. And then they dim the lights to almost completely dark. I think you can turn them all the way off too. You can set music or keep it silent, so you create your own just personal space with which to fully relax. And then some people like have monthly passes, so they'll, from what I was talking to the staff about, they'll come in between, on their break or something, just to relax and meditate. And
Yeah.
I could see doing that, but it's pretty expensive for that kind of thing. We, of course, rolled up with acid
Right.
to do
Yeah.
it, because we really wanted to push what that weightless meditative feeling was like real hard.
Yeah.
I guess the thing that we learned, the hardest part is actually for how relaxing it is learning to relax into it as well. Because you're floating, and then the first thing you want to do is like adjust almost like you're on a bed. So you're like trying to find your comfort or find your, even just like floating there, you're like, I shouldn't be able to do this. So then you start moving too much or trying to find a spot, or You leave your shoulders really tense because you're afraid to relax into
Yeah.
it. So it can be distressing and strange and awkward, especially the first time.
Yeah.
I've done it 3 times now, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The first is the most bizarre, and then after that, it is very relaxing. It's very meditative, and there is opportunity to kind of, even sober, kind of trip a little bit on and kind of fall to the back of your head somewhere and get some visuals or just creative thought out of it. I would say with the acid, it surprisingly didn't push it too far.
I was surprised by that too.
Yeah, and I think might be oddly enough, the stress of the situation, even though it's supposed to be relaxing.
Yeah, we took when you and I went. It was we low dose. It was a half tab, so it wasn't too crazy.
Because we're around a bunch of fucking like hippie people in a clean location downtown. We're like fucked up on drugs. Would be a little scary and unnerving.
Yeah, it'd be too much.
Just think of that. The host is sitting there. They're playing some calm Enya over the speakers, and you just hear, "Ah! Ah! What?"
Yeah. Did you was every session you did, was it on psychedelics, or was it just you were just sober?
First time, no. I just wanted to give it a try. That was also at a time when I had less constant access to hallucinogens.
Sure.
But yeah, it was my way of like trying to find a more natural high, I guess.
Yeah, I think that would definitely do. If that's what you're looking for, is a natural high, I think that a float tank would definitely give that to you. It's something like the first time I ever did it was on that half tab, and I think that if I wasn't, I would still be able to go to those places. You get that mind expansion. It's the same thing as like it's almost like the Ganzfeld experiment, where it's like you're kind of floating in this weird mind space, you know, that you can get really lost in that in that world. Because when I was in it, I turned the light off after after a few minutes. I was like, I wanted to get adjusted to this a little bit, because it is hard to adjust.
How did it feel
first.
physically when you first got in?
It felt odd, because I'd never been in like a big pool of salt.
Yeah.
Salt
also,
water.
we're big dudes and we live in Chicago. We don't get to be in big baths very often.
Yeah.
Usually,
So
like, my knees are up to my fucking chin.
It was weird, because it's like, it's not like being in the bathtub, and it's not like being in a pool. It's you can still touch the sides if you reach out. But I try to stabilize myself, and without, I kept going back and forth between that, like trying to keep myself afloat, but you don't have to do that because you're in salt. So it was a little bit of an adjustment to me. And plus I had a couple cuts.
Oh, yeah. If you got cuts in that salt water, you gonna feel it.
It was a little distracting. But after a while, I was like, okay, I adjusted. I turned the light off, and then I just kind of zoned out. After a while, I was able to just disconnect from reality a little bit, and I heard like water flowing. I heard some footsteps, which you're not supposed to hear anything in these.
No, yeah,
in these
like the
places.
rooms, when you first come in, they walk you through kind of all the rooms and give you a general breakdown of what you're dealing with, and you're like supposed to shower and all this stuff, and they always tell you, like, yeah, like it's a soundproof room, so you're not going to hear anything coming from outside. It's your personal space. But then, of course, your brain starts freaking out, especially when you're like us. You're used to city noise all the time.
Yeah.
You hear the trains, the birds, the cars, the sirens.
I live in Chicago.
You're never not hearing things. So then, in a sense, your brain's kind of like taking the smallest little sound and trying to figure out what it is and piece that puzzle together. So then it's like, oh, I think you're hearing footsteps. I think someone's in the room, or you're hearing talking. So then it can, if you don't trust the setting, which is what that we always talk about with, if you are going to take hallucinogens, set and setting. You want to be in a calm, comfortable place. And it's kind of sterile. It's kind of, it's just, you don't feel comfortable yet the first couple of times, because you don't know where the hell, and you're fucking just butt ass naked. You're just in an office space, in a sense, in a private room, just naked, hanging out, and you're just terrified. At some point, you're gonna look around. Just the hostess is just like, "Are you done yet?" I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's I believe it was like 30 minutes, right? That was
Yeah,
our
you can
session?
do 30 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
I think an hour is the way to go, in all honesty. Like, I don't have a whole lot of money, so I didn't purchase that.
Because it did take me like a good 10-15 minutes to actually
just to get
adjust
chill.
to it. Yeah. So if you do an hour, it's probably better. Then you can really like float away. But there's a lot of like tutorials online or people or testimonials that people say like, oh, it's the best experience ever.
Yeah.
So people are really
Joe
into
Rogan,
it.
Our main competitor in podcasting.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We're very
yeah.
close in followers.
You ever tried DMT?
Also, our special guest is Elon Musk. Come on out, Elon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've tried it.
But yeah, he's got a float tank in his house, and he's like, oh yeah, I just
he
take
loves
fucking
that shit,
LSD all the time and just plop in that. That's the way to do it. So at that point, you're like, I don't care who sees my balls on this. This is my house. I'm gonna hop up in this tub. I don't give a shit. The maintenance has to be interesting on that. That is not so much the maintenance. At some point, you do have to have a maintenance guy, but just like the amount of salt you have to be able to store.
Oh God, I was looking into it. I'm like, it's like 1,500 pounds of salt.
Yeah, it's a ton.
Oh my God.
Like when it's for them, obviously they have to change that water out regularly.
Right. Yeah.
When it's your home, probably not as much, but
if it's just you,
still.
And plus like salt kills a lot of bacteria. So I mean that's why like pickles.
That's why you should eat McDonald's fries, man. They kill all the bacteria inside you. It's the best way to stay healthy.
Fill a bathtub full of McDonald's fries.
You don't? That's my Sunday, bro.
Bring on the ketchup.
Girlfriend comes home and I'm just butt ass naked.
And she's like, "Oh, it's Sunday again."
Yeah. What I like to do first is lather up with ketchup, and then I just slide into the fries.
Slide in the fries.
Just wipe it on my body and eat it.
I think MoMA would like that. Let's do that for MoMA. Yeah, Museum of Modern Art in Chicago.
It's like a Shia LaBeouf piece. I'm just gonna sit in a bathtub full of ketchup and Shia LaBeouf, and then everyone gets to eat one fry with a bit of ketchup off of my body. Honestly, I would do that. That sounds like something stupid I would do.
Yeah, and it's vegetarian.
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah. And it's a discussion on how often we torture cows. I think that's
Yeah, let's make it that.
Modern art needs to have a shitty ethos so no one just thinks you're a fucking jag-off. Because you are ultimately just a jag-off.
Yeah. It's weird because I was thinking about all this stuff we've done earlier, and I'm like, man, this is like 2 years ago. So whenever we record an episode of the podcast, we're like, oh, yeah, we're trying to remember all of these fucking stories,
What's that thing I did on drugs again?
Yeah.
Shit. Can't remember.
So yeah, I was gonna ask you about the eye imagery that keeps popping up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So after we did a couple of Ganzfeld sessions, again with some sort of psychedelic, whether it be LSD or mushrooms or something like that, and then John noticed after these sessions you kept having like these visions like in your dreams, or you're like half asleep in a hypnagogic state.
I think it wasn't that it was new dreaming, like when that in between. I definitely have problems sleeping, so sometimes I'll just be laying in bed and just kind of just with my thoughts. And I think after the Ganzfeld and even kind of like sleep tank stuff and in taking meditation classes, you get more, in a sense, it's like you're paying better attention to the little nuancey shit that's happening behind your eyes instead of just like trying to fall asleep. And I feel like you kind of get used to, like we were saying earlier, you got to get used to the float. Taking hallucinogens, doing stuff like this, you kind of get used to. And it's strange because you're trying to be active and pay attention, but you also have to stay in a passive state. Like with meditation, they say, okay, first off, there's a lot of different practice of meditation, and they'll tell you different things.
Sure.
But it's all the variable is like, don't try to fight the thoughts that come into your head. You allow the thought to come in, you accept it, and you like say hello to that thought, and then calmly just stop paying attention to it so it moves on.
You usher it out after a minute or so,
And that's the hardest part, because once like the thing comes in your head, you're like, shit, I didn't send that email to Stacy.
Right.
Fuck. Oh no.
Yeah.
And then but you're trying to just accept that it is there and not let it spike your blood pressure and let it move on. And I started noticing that when I would get weird visualizations when I couldn't sleep, it was kind of the same process of instead of letting it fuck with me or trying too hard to think about all of my life's failures, as I tend to do, like allowing this thing to happen. And I started noticing, so You know, like when you got your eyes closed and you get all the like the little sparkly bits, and there's like it's like almost looking at the stars at times, and then like you can kind of like the red of your blood pressure and all that shit. I would notice that right in the center of my vision, it would look kind of like an ephemeral black mass, like kind of like almost like ripples of water, kind of right at the center, and like there was no focused shape or anything, but it was actively moving. And if I could like calm my breathing down and get into a meditative state and do that like passive focusing on it, slowly it would start to open. Like I could see, and it didn't quite look like there was really anything beyond it, but it just wasn't the same blackness. So it did seem like I was looking beyond. So there was just like this little bubbly, gurgly black hole opening up. And what would fuck with me, like if you kind of like there was just like a hole in the wall. And you were looking in that hole and like, oh, what's going on in there? And then suddenly someone slid in. Like they just slid in front of the hole, and suddenly there's an eyeball, and it's looking, but it's trying to find focus for a second, so it'd like look around, and then it would lock into me, and it felt like I was just making eye contact with someone who knows what this thing was doing, just hanging out in its, you know, different dimension, and then suddenly this gurgly hole opened the wall, and he just looked to see what was going on, made eye contact with me. We had a moment. Right. But usually, because it felt so real in the movements, it didn't feel like just like, you know, a dream that was happening. It like when the eye pops in, it kind of takes a moment to look, it locks in on me, and every single time my blood pressure would just spike. Like I would immediately hit an adrenaline response. Because it was a mix of, holy shit, this is fascinating. I want to stay here. I want to lock in. I want to get this hole open more. So now I'm pulling myself out of the passive state. Plus, I'm freaked out by it, obviously. And then it would close back up. And then it gets harder and harder to kind of get back into it because you're trying to open it versus just allowing it to do it. Yeah. So then it's like, it becomes a chase. But I noticed that if I could get it open again, the eye didn't seem as confused. It would just kind of be there and waiting for me. And like, it would look right at me.
So the first time you saw it, it definitely did it look spooked, or did it
confused? Confused, but like, also like, it's like, you know, someone comes to your door and you didn't know someone was coming over, and you're like, who the fuck's it? Oh, it's just, you know, it's James, whatever, no big deal. It was that kind of like, what the fuck? Oh, hey, what's up, man? Like, it was just like staring back at me like it was his job. Right?
I think we talked about this too. I think that we tried to analyze it before, and we're like, maybe this is something that like you were not supposed to be in that realm either. So it's walking along, and it looked, and like, what the fuck is that? Yeah. And like looked in the hole and like, what is that thing? Because it may not know what a human is. Yeah. You know, and be like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? You know, and then after a while it gets acclimatized to it, and it's like, oh, here's that weird thing again.
Yeah, it's coming. That dude's back.
That weird guy is back.
Creepy dude staring at me again. Yeah. He's always naked. Whatever.
So this was to clarify, this was, you were no longer feeling the effects of any kind of drug at all, or anything?
I've gotten it in both. I've definitely noticed that some nights, like if we had taken, if you're unfamiliar with hallucinogens, they're also still function like a stimulant. Like you're not, like it's not like cocaine. You're not full of pep and energy and running around trying to rage. But you're gonna stay awake. You're gonna. Yeah. You could take it half asleep, and now you're up for 6 hours.
Yeah, it does keep you up. Yeah.
So it would be like, sometimes it was just laying in bed, and I was stressed out, and I couldn't fall asleep for whatever reason because I was just overthinking everything, as I tend to do. Or maybe it was a night where like I had been partying a little bit, and the hallucinogens haven't worn off fully, and I'm trying to get into the relaxation state, so I'm a little more available, I guess, for that kind of thing, for that kind of connection to be made. Right. Yeah. I would say it started more on nights where I had been on something on the tail end, and then as I got comfortable with it, it started happening more when I was not.
Right. Well, yeah, we might have to. We're gonna take a little break. We're gonna take a little break, and we'll.
The neighbors are getting a little aggro. Yeah. Someone's ready to party.
All right, we'll see you later. All right, now we're back from our break. We had to close the windows.
There was some partying.
There was
those damn neighbors.
People partying over there.
Free weekend and 4th of July weekend, and they're outside making noise. Yeah. Disgusting.
It's horrible.
What the fuck do you think you are? Get in my house. Record a podcast.
Get back inside, record a podcast.
Come on now. This is the only way anyone should ever communicate from now on.
Yeah.
You and I record podcasts, and we listen to our friends' podcasts. We never meet in person. We never speak. That is the way God intended.
And we only talk about Squarespace.
Obviously. Yeah. That's a good segue to our...
There's our ad. But yeah, so we before the break, we were talking about the eye imagery, the eyeball that pops up. Was this eyeball when it came in? Was it like 2-dimensional or was it 3-dimensional?
3-dimensional, and felt like I was actually making eye contact with someone.
Yeah,
which is what was so unnerving. Like, I would say I'm already a person that doesn't make a lot of eye contact. I tend to just kind of stare off and talk, and then I'll come back to you. So eye contact is already like something that, well, like I have to kind of focus on, and it can make me anxious. So when it happened, of course, it's very strange. I feel like there's someone right here in my room, right hovering over me and just making eye contact, and it's unnerving, to say the least.
Very jarring.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine, because if you're just laying there trying to experiment with a weird jelly that you see, and then all of a sudden an eyeball comes and look at you, it's like, oh my God, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and you said that there was you were able to like manipulate it a little bit. You were able to open up the.
I can play with it.
Yeah.
It's always a mix of like I said, the passive, but still being like passively active in the situation.
Right.
So not trying to push it too hard, because the moment I would push it too hard, it just goes away and I'm back in black.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So it's trying to be like, it's more about focusing on my state of like staying calm, doing my breath work, and it's almost like allowing yourself to be available to it is more of the focus than actually trying to open it.
Right.
Which some nights when I would be a little bit more like in an in-between awake state, if I had my focus right, I could keep reopening it, but I could never keep it open very long. It always, at some point, it would become too active, or I'd become too stressed and it would close. Yeah. But I could keep doing it. I've never been able to open enough to see anything more of the creature, anything more than the eye.
Right.
It seems human. It feels human in a sense. It looks like a normal human eye. When it passes, like when it comes over, it seems like standard skin tone around it.
Because there was the black orifice, there was the hole, and then there was the eye behind the hole.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As if there was like a fence and you were looking through.
Yeah, and I had to in a sense manipulate the hole, the ephemeral black goo, as I've described it.
Membrane.
Yeah. And like sometimes I won't even like really get to the eye, but I can just keep moving around the black, like the ephemeral parts, the gooey bits. I can kind of keep moving those and playing with them, but sometimes I can't ever really get the hole open or find the eye. But so yeah, it's a very strange experience to feel, because it doesn't just feel like if you're having a dream, even like a daydream, like there's no activity to it, you just are letting it happen. And this is strange because it feels more connected, it feels almost real because of the way that it's a play between me and it.
Yeah. And you were in like half asleep?
Yeah, usually like half asleep, like a little too awake but completely exhausted at the same time, like my brain's awake and my body's asleep, kind of thing. So I can be very relaxed and half out of it. I could probably fall asleep at any moment, but my brain is just active enough to keep overthinking a lot of things, or being really and then when this happens, being really actively in the moment.
Yeah, I had a situation like that. It wasn't like that per se, but it was a lucid dream. I've had plenty of like lucid dreams in the past. It was like a day where I was really like overworked. I don't know. I was doing something physical. I was like working on painting the apartment or something like that. But I was really like tired, and my body was just like ready to clonk out. But I had been drinking a lot of caffeine, so my body was just like boom out, and then my brain kept going and going and going. You know, and that's when I had a weird lucid dream where I was like walking around my apartment, and I actually like walked through one of the doors. So it's debatable if it was actual like astral projection or if it was lucid dreaming. So, because I actually felt the resistance of the door when I put my hand through the door and I walked through the door. It was strange.
Do you tend to have more lucid dreaming because you sought it out, like you went to bed with the mission of going through the movements of trying to achieve it, or is it something that more naturally just kind of happens?
It's been both. Like I've been like trying to lucid dream in the past, and sometimes it just happens. sometimes I'll be in a dream and then I'll suddenly realize that it's a dream, and that's when I start lucid dreaming. So it's like, okay, now I can control this landscape. I can fly. I can, do whatever. I can run really fast or something like that. But yeah, sometimes it just happens. It just happens to me where my brain is really active before bedtime. Like I said, it usually happens if I have a little bit of caffeine. But I'm just like so physically tired that I just clonk out. This also happened when I had a dream within a dream. There was some inception going on. There was a situation where I woke up in a dream and I thought I was awake, but it turns out I was still in the dream, but I kept trying to wake myself up.
I feel like so I don't dream a lot. I don't know why. I know that they say that just everyone dreams and you don't remember it. I never wake up almost ever remembering anything other than just being completely zonked. So when that happens, when you suddenly realize, like, what is the emotional response? Is it scary? Is it exciting? Does it kind of, how does that feel both, I guess, physically and emotionally?
I think it feels kind of cool at first because it's like, okay, now I can control this landscape. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I have control over what's going on, but I can't actually wake myself up. There has been like a couple of times where I've experimented, like I use like the shaky trick. So if I'm in the dream, I just kind of like shake myself from side to side, and that will trigger like my actual body in real life to shake until it wakes me up. So I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to get out of here because I just don't want to be in this place anymore. This is too weird for me. So I'm like, I just shake my body and hopefully it triggers my physical body to actually wake myself up. And it does work sometimes, So I've had a lot of weird, like, lucid dream stuff.
When you're lucid dreaming, sometimes like when you're in a dream and a fight happens and you're like, you wind up for the punch and it's like you can never really hit them, or you do, and it's just like your fist is just like goo. You're just like hitting, you're like, that I can hit hard. I'm gonna get my ass kicked. I should be able to hit harder. And then you get into that scared state of like, why can't I hit? Or even I'd say the other one is like, oh, I'm gonna fuck. This is gonna be a good time. I'm gonna fuck, and then you never fuck in the dream. You're just constantly losing your mind.
Just like when you're driving there, you're driving,
and you never land. You're like, God damn it! This is gonna be great. And then the moment it's about to happen, you just wake up. Do you still struggle now that you're in control with that kind of limitation of a dream?
Oh yeah, sure. I still have I have lucid dreams, but I still have like just regular dreams as well. Like I had a couple of dreams. These are like really annoying dreams because in the dream I'll be going to the store and I'll buy bread and I come home, and then when I wake up I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go make myself a sandwich. I'm like, there's no bread, and I'm like, but I bought bread, and I was like, no, that was a dream.
Fuck. I have that problem with my partner, except for she wakes up and she's mad at me about something I did in a dream. She literally, it was this morning. I'm like half asleep and she's waking up to go to the gym, and she's like, I know you were texting so and so, and I was like, bitch, what? Like,
I was asleep.
What are you talking about? She's like, oh, I had a dream that I found in your phone that you were messaging this one girl a whole lot that I hate, and I was pissed.
That's my fault?
Yeah. She's like, fuck you, don't text her. I was like, I'm not gonna fucking text her, you idiot. Go to your goddamn class already. Why am I in trouble for something I didn't do? I do plenty to be in trouble for. Let's stick to reality. Don't you fucking text her. I have not spoken to her in 2 years. Do not worry.
Yeah, that's funny. Trying to think of a good segue. But no, to
before you jump too far, maybe what I'll do is I'll ask this, knowing that maybe you already have a plan for this. Mm-hmm. But don't you also have a background with seeing an eye creature as well?
Yes. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's one of my bullet points here. It was the goat god experience that I had while doing the Ganzfeld experiment. Mm-hmm. So
set the scene.
I need to take a deep breath for this one because this is
a big
one. I
remember this one. Yeah.
Oh, this was rough. Like,
yeah, you've had two that I've been witness to when you come out, and you are freaked the fuck out by it.
Yeah, it can. That's the thing about doing the Ganzfeld, especially with psychedelics. I know for a fact in my mind that psychedelics do have a psychic property to them.
Mm-hmm.
They can help bring that stuff out, especially mushrooms. I think mushrooms are more natural than LSD is more of a chemical, but mushrooms definitely bring some sort of like psychic ability out from you. So we were doing this stuff. It was usually in the basement, which was your old room.
Mm-hmm.
We had set it up. We had taken some mushrooms, and then I was laying there, and we set up the Ganzfeld. I had the light on me, had the ping pong balls over my eyes, and
if you don't know what he's talking about, and that sounds weird, listen to the first episode.
yeah, go back to the first one.
Yeah.
So it's called the Ganzfeld effect. We are recreating that, but usually with the Ganzfeld effect, you have a sender and a receiver, and a lot of times we just do these open sessions where we just lay there. We're not trying to get data from another person. We're just kind of laying there,
letting it wash over us, see what happens.
So the usual stuff happened. Like you started hearing weird voices, whispers, and stuff like that. And I had done it a couple of times. So now I was like a little bit emboldened, right? So I was like, I'm gonna push it. I want to see how far I can go with this, you know. And I kept thinking in the back of my mind, I was like I want to know things. I want knowledge. I want to know what's out there. So I kept like pushing further out there into the ether, and then I was like transformed to another place, and what appeared in front of me was like a best way I can describe it is like if you know what Baphomet looks like, but it was like all I could see is the face. So it's a classic like Baphomet archetype character, but the difference was the face, the horns, the arms, everything was covered in eyes, completely covered in eyeballs, which was so strange.
Yeah. Were all the eyeballs kind of moving independently and focusing on different things, or
that I don't remember that. Mm-hmm. I think probably I think there was some blinking going on too. But yeah, there was. Imagine that, you know, the Baphomet face, where it's like the goat with the horns, and it has like shoulders and arms and like a body as well, and
torso of a man.
Torso, yeah. So there was just eyes everywhere, eyes on the snout, eyes on the horns, eyes on everything. And it told me that it was the god of knowledge. And it basically just looked at
theoretically
me.
Satan is Baphomet saying,
yeah, save me, yeah. So and it was a telepathic communication, which I know sounds crazy when I say it, but I know we're
talking about a goat covered in eyeballs. Yeah. I think telepathy is the least fucked up thing we're talking about.
Yeah. So, and I knew it was telepathic because it was like an instant transfer of information. So, if I'm talking to you, it has to form in my mind, it has to go down to my mouth, spit it out into the world, and then your ears have to catch it, and then it has to process, and then you have to form a response. It was so much faster than that. It was lightning speed, and it was like telling me back and forth like that. And
you're just thinking, I want to fuck that goat.
I'm gonna fuck that.
And that goat's like, I'm here with you. I can hear this.
I can hear what you're saying to me right now.
Like, I'll still fuck you, goat, but like, get out of my head, bro.
Yeah, and that was the one of the strangest experiences I have ever had. I think that as soon as that was like over, I got control of myself, and I just wrenched the headphones off, and I sat right up, and I was like, whoa, I just kind of walked around the room like, whoa, shit, and you guys are looking at me so scared, like, oh, what the fuck?
Because you were super calm, you were just laying there doing the thing. Because normally, like, when we do it, it can, like, we can sit there for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And, like, we don't want to make a whole lot. Because already you get, every time you do it, you freak out at some point. Like, were you walking around? I'm like, no, I was sitting in the chair quietly staring at you.
Little things like that.
Yeah, you already get kind of paranoid that I'm moving or doing something.
Yeah.
So usually we'll just, like, sit there and be on our phones or do something else and just kind of chill. but still observe you, because we want to like make sure your breathing isn't getting completely erratic or like any signs of potential distress. We don't want to miss that while you're acting stupid on drugs. So we're like, I'm just sitting there. You seemed fine. Your breathing was maybe a little more accelerated, but nothing concerning. And then you just bolted straight upright and ripped that cans off your head and just started freaking out. And I was like, what? And you didn't even know how to explain what you saw for a little while. You had to kind of walk it off and process. It wasn't like when you see something happen, you're like, oh yeah, I can tell you it just happened. To you, you could tell it was kind of like you had to really process all the different elements of it and put it into a clear picture.
Yeah. So yeah, if anybody has seen this before or something like that, let us know.
Yeah.
Email us.
You did research too, and you didn't really find a whole lot on this creature. Like, there's definitely creatures covered in eyeballs and mythology and stuff, but not specifically what you saw.
No, the only thing like that came close was like the Nephilim from like the actual what people saw as angels back in the day, like not the halo and the wings and stuff like that, but the actual like scary like ring of eyeballs. It's like, I am God, that really.
Also, if you really think about it, those Christians, for how much they hate the gays, they're always painting half-naked torsos of men, just like glistening in the sun with sweat, and they're like, oh, we could have had an angel covered in eyeballs, but instead I want this blonde-haired man with rippling abs. No homo.
Yeah,
but
really
I want
pretty
just,
man to
make sure like he's only wearing like just a bit of fabric over his dick. No homo. All right. I mean, I'm gonna say that again.
Yeah, that's good, right? Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Let's just paint that on the walls on the church where we're not supposed to have sex.
It's totally not gay. It's not gay. Yeah. That was very, very strange. I think the other one that compares to that was I think I saw like there was like a face that looked like a bee.
Ew, I'm allergic.
Yeah, John's allergic too, so we try not to go to those places.
No, the bee sex raves. I always have to skip the bee sex rave. It's a bummer. It seems like a good time.
So with this Ganzfeld stuff, like we learned here, I'll ask you this question, John: Is the Ganzfeld a fun party trick to bust out for your friends?
No, no, it's not. So this might be a strange sentiment, but like freaking your friends out when you're on hallucinogens can go sideways quick. And when you're also on the hallucinogen, you're not always like in the best condition to deal with a friend in a panic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's if people aren't accustomed to it, because it scared the shit out of us. But like at least like when it was just me and you, I knew I could trust you, and I don't know, I'm down to fucking clown, I guess. So, like, even if I'm freaked out, I find it exciting. I want to get involved. But when, like, everyone just shows up to have a party, and you're like, hey, let me put you under this red light where you can't hear us, but we can hear you, and you're just going to start saying shit, your friends might freak out and then grab a ceremonial drum that they were gifted as a child from the Native American side of their family, and then they run around the room banging on a drum and having a freak out. You know?
So what I am referring to is my birthday party, which was like, was that last year?
Yeah, it was 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah, this is still during the pandemic.
Yeah, so we, Cato, which is John's partner, had asked me like, what do you want to do for your birthday? I was like, well, I want to do some like, some weird like psychic experiment stuff. That's the stuff I'm into.
The usual, yeah, what everyone does.
The usual.
Yeah.
Usually like when we do it, like I said, it's a very controlled environment. We only do like these psychedelics when it's just me and John and we're doing something very scientific. But there was this time where it's like, okay, we had a couple friends over and let's just see if we can do this. We did this in a group setting. Cato did it, and she got some weird stuff too.
Yeah, Cato's attuned to that kind of stuff. She's very spiritual. She really believes in like the energy of the universe and how that affects people. And she's just from a more spiritual, witchy kind of family. So she's more like us in that. Like she'll roll with it and try and figure it out while freaked out.
Yeah. So when I did it, there was a couple of different things that came through that night. It was very like, we got a lot of stuff. There was a lot of shit that came through that night. So the first time, I did it in like 4 different parts. So the first one, I put on the headphones and I put on the red light and all that shit, and like within like a minute, I get this sense of like marching, like the entire human race, all one voice, one goal, like the entire planet united. And I was like, "Whoa, I don't like that."
Sounds like fascism. I'm not into it.
That was weird. And then the second time I did it, I got visuals of a man leaning against a truck, the bullet hole in his chest in the middle of the desert. It was like a military uniform. I couldn't tell which country or anything, but it was just in a desert. And I think that Kato had some kind of like similar, like military-esque.
I think so too. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Yeah, she had some military. She got a lot of voices. Mm-hmm. She was at one point when because we were all still hanging out and drinking beer and like shooting the shit, because the cans she had on, she really couldn't hear us, so we were being quiet. But out of nowhere, she starts talking, so we all kind of got quiet and listened, because it sounded like she was hearing us. So we're like, "Oh, shut the fuck up!" Like,
that's what I thought too, because like you guys were all in the living room, I was in the kitchen. And I thought Katie was talking to us, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, I said this," and you guys were like, "Shh," and I was like, "Oh, she's not talking to us. What the fuck?"
And she kept like she was like kept moving her head left and right, like she was trying to locate the source of the sounds, and she was saying like the voices were changing, and they kept asking her stuff. So when she pulled the headphones, the headphones off, she's like, "What were you guys saying?" Like, not a fucking thing. We were just listening to you. And she was really locking into conversation, and I think she also mentioned something military, something marching like.
Right.
I think she said something like someone was making orders that she was trying to touch base on.
And she said a name too, and we looked up the person. It was somebody who was like had died recently, but they were a vet. They were a veteran. So but it was like a older gentleman. Yeah, that was odd. So
and then it freaked out everybody in the room.
Yeah. The third time I went in, because they were just like we would like hang out, we're partying, and then I just kind of do it. We're taking turns doing this. Third time is when it got. This is when it freaked everybody out. So when I did it the third time, I saw a face, and the face kind of looked like a jester, and the jester was telling me that the human race is a joke. And life is a joke, and he just showed me like this vortex of like swirling numbers, and I was like, and I'm like saying this stuff out loud because I'm dictating like what I'm seeing, and that's when like somebody tapped me on the shoulder, so I took off the headphones, and everybody's like, "Nope, stop, nope, let's do it, yeah, we're done," and then Kato brought out the sage. Dove brought out the drum, and he's beating on the drum, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you were starting to say some pretty creepy ass shit. I thought it was great, but that's me. Everyone else is starting to freak out. I was like, no, let that fucker go, man.
Yeah, let's figure this out.
I was like, I felt like I disagree with the Joker in this situation.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like life's a joke. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it makes sense.
It's a cruel joke.
Yeah,
I'm stuck living in it.
But yeah, that seemed to freak everybody out. Which is not what I want to do in a party. I don't want to like scare people. I don't. With this stuff, it's like Jon and I are definitely seekers of knowledge with this type of thing that we're doing. Like I'm definitely have a thirst for knowledge. Like I want to know what's out there. I want to know the bigger picture.
Yeah, and because of you and these experiments, I do now too. Like we said in the first episode, the first time you brought up the Ganzfeld, I was like, whatever, dude. I don't care. Like I'll take drugs and do anything. Well, not take drugs. I keep saying drugs. I mean hallucinogens.
Yeah.
I'll take hallucinogens and do whatever as long as it's not gonna be violent or get us in too much trouble.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just like try. But now, and I think what is interesting is I never get strong imagery or visions or dreamlike states. Like I've obviously had some pretty intense shit when it came to like the images in the manila folder and being able to pull out those details.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it made it really difficult on me for a while when we were doing it more regularly, because you gave me the thirst for the knowledge, the thirst to want to understand whatever the fuck it is we're toying with, and then having a personal experience to fall back on and go, there's something here. This isn't just a theoretical thing to me anymore. And then not be like, again, because it's such a passive activity, and I get so ramped, like on wanting to figure it out and understand it and play with it and control it. Then a lot of times I can't get back there.
Yeah.
And also when I hear what you see, like, goat heads with covered in eyeballs, and there was one that I don't think you brought up yet, where you saw a whole civilization on a different planet dying and beaming out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, tell them that one real
Yeah,
fast.
that was the DMT experience that I had. So it was the first time I ever tried DMT. And I was like, again, laying in your bed. I don't know why we use your bed for.
Because my room was always just it was in the basement, so it was really quiet.
Yeah.
We didn't have to worry about so much noise. It was
Right.
dark. It was quiet.
Yeah.
We weren't around anyone. It just made the most sense.
Yeah, I always felt bad though. It was like we do all these weird psychic experiments, and then I just go home and I leave, and they're like, okay, have a good time trying to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even really mind. It wasn't until, in a sense, Dove took my old room, because I've moved out to live with my partner. So our good friend Dove has my room, and we're like, let's not do what we did to me to him, because that's kind of fucked up and weird.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't like the shit. Like, he tried it the one night at the birthday party, and he's like, nope, that's a hard no for me. So
Yeah,
we try not to poison the energy in that room.
Yeah, it freaks him out. I think it did that night. We'll talk more about that, but it did. It brought some weird energy into the apartment that night, which is what I try not to do.
Yeah, I without like really specifying any names, I think what was interesting too is that we'd all tried the Ganzfeld that night a couple of times. Most people didn't get much for results. Most were just like, that felt like a moderately relaxing, weird waste of my time, but. That's not a terrible thing. You're never mad about that. Cato got good reactions. I got some light ones. Dove got a little bit. But one of the people in the party after yours, it was like, and I understand, again, we're talking about hallucinogens, and that can really ramp you up and put you in a weird mental state. But it was, once he got freaked out, it was like the thing I keep like dancing around not wanting to use this word, but it was like he was possessed. He was not acting his usual character. Yes, he was stressed out by what he had seen. Yes, he has a little bit of a spiritual background, but it sent him into this kind of blind rage. Like he was acting like he was under attack, and then when we would try to calm him down and help him, he would kind of put that attack energy on us. Like, we became threats at times too, and it really.
Right.
And we've all freaked out. We've all done stupid shit. We've all had bad days. And we've all witnessed that of each other, but it was something we'd never seen of him, and his energy. It was very paranoid. It was very fearful, and he didn't even sound like himself. Like,
no, he didn't sound, and he didn't look like himself. He looked very different from what I know him as, and it was strange to see that. And I was like, okay, I can't deny. And I hit you up the day after, and I was like, I'm gonna tell John that there's some weird, like, there was like a minor possession going on. I was like, you know what, but that's stupid. I was that, and then you hit me up and you're like, I think something like came into like oh my god, right? Yeah, like I think there was a without sounding too kooky, like there was a minor possession that happened. I think something was like
was let in. Yeah. It was, and like what we keep talking about is a lot of times we find some other creature, some other potential thing that we're trying to communicate with, that can literally be in your head communicating. Like, there's, if there is a possibility that any of this is real, and I feel comfortably, like, just after the one Ganzfeld experiment I did with the envelope, that there is some modicum of truth to this somehow. That if you are tapping into something that is interdimensional or just well outside of our conscious understanding, what is the possibility of bringing that with you? We don't know.
Right.
We're just chuckle fucks, like dancing around in what someone else's dimension or whatever.
Sure.
And who knows what we might be able to, and we might have dragged a little something into the room, because for a little while things didn't feel right. Like, the energy was off the room. It didn't feel in control. People were uncomfortable, and it was strange. It was an unfortunate birthday, but a unique experiment for us.
Well, I did say that I wanted that.
Yes,
so,
yes, you did. You did manifest this.
I requested it. Like, let's do weird experiments for my birthday. This is being fine.
Well, we were at that point too. We were talking about because you had just purchased. Well, we had just purchased the God helmet.
Yeah.
And one of the experiments, I guess, with the God helmet was: is there a way to achieve these things, like do the Ganzfeld while under the helmet? So in a sense, we can. Apologies. So that we could skip the drugs part.
Sure.
Like, as much as we do enjoy taking hallucinogens under like proper controls and like not, obviously we're not just running around all the time fistful and hallucinogens in our mouth. We're not Hunter Thompson.
No.
But we enjoy the experience. Both of us dealing with anxiety and depression. We like how it helps to kind of manage that and give you this lengthy period, especially with mushrooms, like this levity afterwards. Like, it feels like you can help process some of the darker parts of your psyche a little bit better afterwards. So we like those parts. We like hanging out with each other while I doing the experiments. So we're more. I don't know. It's hard to say because we're talking about things that we don't like. We know that something is there, something is available, but we don't know the extent.
Right.
I feel like that thought process is gonna sound terrible when I re-listen to this. I was just saying things and trying to come to a conclusion. But yeah, it's a very wild, scary, strange opportunity that really has no rules that we're aware of yet.
Yeah.
Other than don't be too controlling of it. It's not yours.
Right. Yeah. So it's like it's weird because it's like you're not like researching something on the internet and then giving it to the audience here. Like, this is stuff that we've actually done ourselves. This is stuff that we go out there and we're like, hey, here's an incomplete thought that was weird. Do with that what you will. It's not a very self-contained.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, here's a weird thing. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever figure it out. Maybe we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll.
Well, that's what this podcast is for. Solving the universe for our 15 million Russian listeners. Also, there's now been more millions of followers since we started recording.
About every 20 minutes.
Yeah, we have the live feed on the Twitch. I'm currently shaking my titties while sitting in a bathtub and recording this.
Right.
That's popular on Twitch right now.
And the Kremlin's just like popping right now.
Loving it. Pop in. What are the parties in the Kremlin like? That place has to be insane.
Dope,
yeah,
but it's also it's fun, but it's also very Soviet. So it's like
very
Soviet fun.
Yeah. Don't smile while you have fun.
No, you can dance, but don't smile.
No, never smile.
Only vodka. That's it.
Cool.
All right, we're rolling now. We had a little technical issue.
Yep, because we're amateurs.
Yep. But we're back. Last time we were talking about the Kremlin and all that stuff. Party at the Kremlin. But yeah, you had asked me about the DMT experience that I had.
Yes.
So, it was the first time I ever had it. And it was a little strange. It was hard to get into at first. It was hard to relax. And
it's hard to relax on DMT. It's an aggressive hallucinogen.
It didn't like. It was mixed with weed, for me. So I'd smoked it with weed. So like it was like nothing was happening for like a good 10 minutes, and then I was like, it's always when you're expecting something that nothing comes along. So I was like, okay, what's happening? And then at that point, I just decided to give up and stop trying to look for something. Like,
that's the
fuck
key.
it. And that is the key.
Which is what I struggle with the most because I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I'm going to manifest this. And then it's like 15 minutes of nothingness that taunts me.
Yeah. That's the same. It's the same thing with Ganzfeld. It's like you can't keep expecting something. Like, when is it going to happen? And then you just have to relax and say, okay, you know what? Let the universe take control, and I'll just sit back and
let Jesus take the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'll see some weird stuff. Yeah, so it over like 10 minutes goes by, nothing is happening. I'm like, all right, fucking, I'll just relax and just try to enjoy this. And I relaxed, and that's when it hit me. All of a sudden, this feeling of like urgency came over me, and I got these visuals of like these light beings, and they were dying and their planet was dying. And what I was getting felt like a pre-recorded message, and it kept repeating like, send the message out, send the message out. And I saw images of like all these beings on this planet, and this planet was no longer inhabitable, and the planet was actually killing them. So, and I'm like, I came out of it like, oh, guess I'll go back to the party now. Back to
just watched mass genocide of an entire planet. Let's get ripped, bro.
That's fun.
Let's go hang out.
And then I thought, like, okay, if this was a message that someone was sending out, we could have been like 250 million light years away. Mm-hmm. And like, how long ago was this? Was this like 4 billion years ago that this happened?
And finally
I'm
just
like
connected with our planet right as he decided to take an incredibly potent hallucinogen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I got that weird. It felt like pre-recorded message. Mm-hmm. Like, and so I'm like, okay, well, I can't do anything about that, which sucks. Sorry guys.
I got your message.
Sorry guys, got your message. I can't help you out.
I hope you're okay.
Yeah. So back to the birthday Ganzfeld stuff where things got weird. So this is the last time I went into it. So I did it 4 times in total. We're kind of like switching out from other people. And this was the strangest one, and it was also the one that freaked me out a little bit.
We shouldn't drink so much beer.
I'm drinking beer. Yeah,
we're both burping off the mic and trying to hold a conversation like fucking chumps.
I think I have like 3 beers in.
Yep. Yeah, we're like 5 or 6 beer. We've had 3 since recording.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Why is it so carbonated? But yeah, the last one at my birthday party, the Ganzfeld thing that I did, was really strange. So it started out, I was being drawn into a bright light, and then that light went away, and I was actually looking at my hands, and it looked like my hands were these like geometric shapes. So everything in like beyond my hands was like just this geometric spectrum. There was like mountains in the distance. It was almost like I was playing like an early 90s like video game, some VR or some shit like that. And then I was being shown like this small and soft square with like a membrane. So it's kind of the same thing that you saw too with the eye. So in my mind's eye, I pushed through the membrane with my geometric hand, and then when I did that, it drew me in, and then again I was surrounded by light, and it was like a millions of people just hugging me and like sharing their love, and then like I got a very warm feeling, not like temperature warm, but of like emotionally warm feeling, just being engulfed by this light, and just millions and millions of people saying like, we're so glad you're here, we're so happy to see you. And that's when I was like, I gotta go.
This is a weird party.
I was like, this is like, I am going to Ganzfeld myself into death, like I'm going to kill myself by doing that, because it's so inviting to be there when everyone's stuck. Like, everyone's like, well, we love you and it's great to have you here and we're so glad you're here. And it wasn't like I actually saw anybody.
You just knew the presence.
People were there.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta get out of here. This is too. It felt too good.
Yeah.
It felt too warm, too inviting. I was like, this. I'm just be alive.
That's where the dangerous shit happens. You're like, oh, I would like to go back, and you're like, nah, that's how you get stuck.
Yeah, you don't get stuck in there.
Yeah, it's how you leave your own reality a little too much.
But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. We've been going for about an hour now. We really want to get to this experiment that we're going to do.
Yes.
We're going to run a Ganzfeld today. So it'll either be on this episode or we're going to put it on the next episode. However I chop it up, we'll see. But yeah, we're going to go do that. We're going to have some good times. At some point, I'm gonna make a YouTube page. There's gonna be Instagram and Facebook and Gmail that you can contact us at. So be looking for that. My name is James Whalen. This is Jonathan Wickholm. Do you go by John or Jonathan?
I mean, whatever you want to call me. I'm
Okay.
easy peasy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. You can call him Easy Peasy Wickholm if
There
you want
go.
to. Yeah.
That's my porn name.
Yeah. So quickly say what's your middle name? I love your middle name. But you don't have to. If you
I don't
want
mind.
to.
I don't mind. It is a silly name. It's Holger.
Holger.
Yeah,
Is that
it's
what is
Scandinavian.
That?
It's
Scandinavian.
Swedish. My whole name is Swedish as fuck. Other than Jonathan. Jonathan Holger Wikholm. Holger.
Yeah,
Which,
I
if
just love that.
most Americans, it's Holger Wickholm.
Holger.
Which sounds awful.
No.
I hate when Americans say my name. And
But when you say it like with that inflect Holger,
Holger
it
Wickholm.
sounds like you're gonna like bash someone's skull.
yeah, it sounds badass.
Yeah.
When I was in Sweden, everyone loved it. They're like, "Oh, your middle name's Holger." No one uses that name anymore. That's like a grandpa's name, and it was my grandpa's name actually, so it made sense.
Yeah.
And then a buddy of mine actually named his kid Holger.
Yeah.
Because he was like, yeah, that was someone in his family too, and I reminded him of it, so we named it. But so it's like, it's a badass name there when pronounced correctly. Here, it's stupid. But yeah,
Yeah, but
John
that's,
Wickholm.
Vico. Yeah, so that's it for the show. Later episodes, we're gonna do some more experiments, more Ganzfeld stuff. We're gonna talk about the God. Whoop! Just banged on the table.
Whacking shit.
We're gonna talk about the God helmet. We're gonna bust that out at some point. But yeah, cool stuff to come. All right, see you later.
See ya. I need goggles. Cool. Just didn't want to grab and fuck anything up over there. All right.
Here we go. John is going in.
Yeah, hit me with the light.
All right, lights coming on.
So, full red wash, obviously, but slight kind of dark spaces scattered throughout. And start fractaling a little bit. Center's kind of darkening, fractaling a little bit more. It's like dead in the center of the red. The white noise is starting to almost sound more like water, like trickling water on top of the white noise. The red is starting to look more like the close-up of skin. Almost kind of sounds like there's like a playground in the background. Almost sounds like little kid voices I can't make out. You can hear birds chirping. For a moment I saw through the red what looked like an eyeball, but like not opening up like we talked about, like it was a part of the red in the fractals. Getting the eyeball again. In white spots now. Almost looks like it's opening up to the white. I keep getting the eyeballs. I keep floating around. And it's like not like the ball, like just a vacant ball, but it looks like the eye of a person. Like you can see the skin and kind of the skin around the socket of the eye. And glints of light, like white reflection off of it. Looks like there's a shadow just to my right, like top right and above me, that keeps moving around and has a human-like silhouette. But it's like seeing a person through a frosted window, and it keeps moving, but like he's looking down at me. Oh, there's another one. Ooh, that one's getting really fucking close. I don't like that. Almost looks like one of them's reaching out to the lenses. I feel like I hear music. Almost sounds like it's coming from a car, so it's muffled. Shadows are moving a lot. They seem centered around me, like looking down at me still. It's giving me the vibe almost, not like what I'm interpreting, but what it's making me feel. And it always makes me feel like I'm behind skin or something, like I'm in the womb. I really hear the birds now. There's like a waterfall now, or not a waterfall, like really aggressive water through like a river or a creek. I got a glimpse of something that looked like it had horns, but it looked like a mask and not an animal. Got a spark, kind of like when you rub your eyes and or not even that, like you stare at something bright, close your eyes and you can see it like behind your eyelids. I keep getting sparks like that. One looked like I was in like a train car looking down the row.
10 minutes.
Was it 10?
Yeah.
It was so quick.
Better.
You recording now?
Awesome.
Turn off the wrong light.
Seeing fractals. Oh, there's whispering now. Seeing a white light over me. There's talking on the left side. Oh, now I'm seeing like doors, stairs, banister. Like I'm standing on the top of a stair somewhere looking down a 2-story house, looking at the front door. Yeah, old decor. Old house. Like from the, I want to say like 18 something. I'm looking at a window. There's 2 or 3 windows. Fuck. And it's like a seating area. Like, whoa. Something just flew past my vision. But yeah, there's a seating area in front of the window. And someone's looking out at it. Like, I'm seeing through their eyes. This is a third person. I hear voices on my left side. Again, I'm seeing stairs. There's a staircase that's diagonal in front of my view. I'm standing in a hallway and I'm seeing stairs. Yeah, I'm just in a house. White noise is getting louder. Oh, there's a skull. Something to do with like lizard, something in the lizard family. Some kind of amphibian. I got a white light again. It's like in the middle of my vision, there's like, it's not red, it's like a pure white light. Oh, I'm seeing the same imagery again. It's like support beams. It's all wood. Everything's wood. White noise just got louder. Seeing fractals again. It's like a bunch of circles. A bunch of circles all on top of each other. Something is getting movement. It's very faint. Some kind of scales, like scale imagery.
reptilian scales. Repeating. Teeth. Looks like dog teeth, or just, that's all I'm seeing is just teeth. Definitely canine. This stuff just keeps coming in. It's very dim, and then it just disappears. There's a repeating phrase. Can't fix on it. There's like some kind of flower imagery is again in the center of my vision. Open. So open. Door. There's a door. Oh, I don't like that. Door. The house. The house is a door. There's whispering. You can see geometric patterns. A lot of triangles.